Jaqen H'ghar appears in Game of Thrones as a mystery with a face, an assassin locked in a cage, transferred as human cargo to the Wall, who suddenly offers a 10-year-old girl the power to kill anyone in the world. 3 deaths, no questions, no conditions, no judgment. Most viewers see this as a reward, a debt repaid with elegance, an honorable character inside a world without honor. But if you stop and look closely, if you watch not what Jaqen says, but what he does, how he reacts, what he reveals, and what he chooses to hide, another story begins to surface underneath. Jaqen wasn't paying a debt. He was running a recruitment.
The first thing we need to understand about Jaqen is what he represents before he even opens his mouth for the first time. He is a faceless man, a servant of the god of many faces, trained in the House of Black and White in Bravos, an order of assassins who kill not for pleasure, for politics, or for common money. They kill as a sacred act. Death to them is the only true gift, the one thing every living being receives without exception. These men don't wander the world by accident. Every movement has a reason. Every face worn has a function. So what was a faceless man doing in a cage of criminals being transported to the Wall in the north of Westeros? The official answer, the one the narrative presents on the surface, is that he was captured, caught like any other fugitive. But that explanation never fully satisfies, because nothing about Jaqen is accidental. The answer the subtext suggests is more unsettling. Jaqen was exactly where he needed to be, whether because there was a mission at the Wall or because something, or someone, still needed to be found along the way. And then, in a dusty courtyard in Fleabottom, a thin girl with a sword too small for her appeared and freed 3 prisoners from the flames. And Jaqen saw her, truly saw her, perhaps for the first time in the entire journey.
Arya Stark, in that moment, had everything that should have made her invisible to a man like Jaqen. She was young, noble in name, but not in standing. Without an army, without power, without resources, a child fleeing a city taken by enemies. By the logic of Westeros, she was disposable. But Jaqen didn't see through the filter of conventional power. He saw through the filter of death. And what he saw in Arya was something very few people carry naturally, an honest relationship with mortality. She didn't fear death the way children fear it. She cataloged it. She had a list, names, faces, crimes. She thought about killing the way other children think about playing, not out of psychopathy, but out of a kind of brutal clarity that grief and betrayal produce in people who, rather than shutting down, open themselves too wide to reality. For a faceless man, that is a disturbing rarity. Most people who become killers arrive there by the wrong road, through hatred, through greed, through pleasure. Arya arrived through something that looked, strangely, like principles. She wanted to kill specific people for specific reasons. There was a logic to it, a crooked integrity, and Jaqen recognized that.
When Jaqen first approaches Arya after the fire and offers 3 deaths, he uses very specific language. He speaks in the third person. A man owes the fates 3 deaths, as though he were simply executing a cosmic law of which he too is a prisoner. It is at once poetic and calculated. Faceless men don't carry personal debts. The Order's own philosophy forbids attachment to name, to identity, to emotional obligations. The idea that Jaqen feels personally indebted to Arya contradicts everything his training represents. So why does he use that framework? Why not simply vanish, as a man of his skill could easily do? Because he is speaking the language Arya understands. She grew up inside a culture of honor, of debts repaid, of words that carry weight. By using that framework, Jaqen creates a perfect testing ground. He places real power in the hands of a child and watches what she does with it. Every choice she makes is an answer to a question he never asks aloud. Do you use power out of anger, out of strategy, out of survival? Can you choose without hesitating? Can you hesitate when you should?
Watch Arya's choices carefully, because each one says something different about who she is, and what they reveal together is why Jaqen stops treating her as a child to be observed and starts treating her as someone who needs to be found. The first death, The Tickler, one of Harrenhal's most brutal guards, is the most instinctive. A man who hurt her eliminated, almost a reflex. Anyone with enough rage and power in hand would do the same. It doesn't say much yet about who she is, but Jaqen notes it. He is measuring, not judging. The second death is where things get interesting. Arya discovers that Amory Lorch, a Harrenhal guard, has found a message she was carrying, something that in Tywin Lannister's hands would reveal who she is. Lorch is heading toward Tywin's chambers. She has seconds. She runs to Jaqen, speaks the name, and Lorch falls dead before he reaches the door. There is no rage in that death, no accumulated hatred, no personal history. It is pure survival, a decision made with total cold clarity under maximum pressure. And that, for Jaqen, may be the most revealing signal of the three. Any frightened child kills out of anger. Killing with clarity, without hesitating, when the alternative is your own death, that is something else entirely. The third begins as desperation and ends as genius. When Arya discovers that Tywin is about to leave Harrenhal with his armies, she runs to Jaqen and asks for the name she wants most. Tywin Lannister, the man who destroyed her family, the cause of everything. And Jaqen says no, that a name like that is beyond reach, that there are limits to what can be done, that she would need to choose another. It is the moment the floor disappears beneath her. She came with everything she had, asked for the most, and was told no. The window is closing. Tywin is leaving. And there, cornered, with her options vanishing in real time, Arya found the only way out within the rules of the game itself, and named Jaqen. That changes everything. She didn't arrive with that plan. She wasn't waiting for the right moment to execute a prepared move. She improvised. She took the rules he had established, flipped the board in a fraction of a second, and found the only move that forced him to yield. Jaqen pauses. His composure cracks for the first time, not out of fear, out of recognition. Because one thing is training someone to be strategic, another is watching someone invent the strategy at the exact moment the board closes.
After Arya releases Jaqen from the third debt, he does something he didn't have to do, something that goes far beyond any obligation, real or performed. He changes his face in front of her. Think about the weight of that. Faceless men spend years, perhaps decades, learning to have no identity. Changing faces isn't merely a physical skill, it is the ultimate symbol of what they are, a man without a name, without a history, without attachment. Showing that to someone is the equivalent in this world of dropping all armor at once. It is a deliberate vulnerability. Why does he do it? The simplest answer would be that he is saying goodbye, erasing the face Arya knew so she cannot track him. But there is another reading, and a more interesting one. He is teaching. He is showing her that identity is a choice, that the face she sees is not what a person is, that the girl named Arya Stark, who carries a list of enemies, that too is just a face, one of many possible versions of herself. It is a seed planted with intention, not a farewell, a prologue.
The iron coin Jaqen leaves in Arya's hands before he disappears is, technically, a passport. It is said that with it, and the words Valar Morghulis, all men must die, any faceless man anywhere in the world will aid whoever presents it. A practical resource within a survival narrative. But symbolically, it is something else. It is an open-ended deadline. It is Jaqen saying, without saying, "You are not ready yet." You are still Arya Stark. You still have names and rage and family and history. But one day, if life keeps teaching you what it's teaching you, you'll reach a point where you'll realize the list doesn't free you, it imprisons you. And when that day comes, this coin will take you to the only place where you can learn to be no one. Jaqen H'ghar chose Arya Stark not because she saved him from the flames. That was the pretext. Elegant, convenient, perfectly constructed for a girl raised to value honor and gratitude. He chose her because she already carried within herself the contradiction that is the heart of all the House of Black and White's philosophy. A love of justice and a natural intimacy with death that rarely walk together. And that together forms something the Order spends a lifetime trying to artificially create in its apprentices. She wasn't a candidate, she was a discovery.
Most people flee death or romanticize it. Arya faced it head-on, eyes open, with a list in her hands. For a faceless man, that was at once the greatest talent she could possess and the greatest obstacle she would need to overcome. Because the House of Black and White doesn't forge Avengers, it forges instruments. And turning Arya Stark, with all her rage, all her names, all her identity into an instrument would be either the Order's greatest triumph or proof that some people are too large to fit inside any god.